So, the latest entry in the DCEU just came out, Supergirl, and I guess everyone kind of hated it? I guess everyone just hates Babu Frick now, huh? I guess everyone just hates Jimmy Eat World now, huh? Seems kind of coordinated. Nah, I'm joking, but it really seems like people are hating this a lot more than I did. I certainly didn't love it. I think it had some fun moments. I liked Millie Alcock as the lead. But the narrative is a little bit disappointing. Millie Alcock is really excellent as the titular heroine, but the narrative that she is surrounded by really isn't doing her any favors. The film follows her as she is struggling with the idea of returning to Earth, instead being more drawn to partying in a galaxy that strips her of her superpowers, living it up, avoiding responsibility. She is doing this until a young girl named Ruthie shows up, played by Eve Ridley, and she tries to recruit Supergirl to help her avenge her family's death. Ruthie's family's been killed by the brigand Krem, played by Matthias Schoenaerts, and yeah, I guess they're just called brigands. And Supergirl initially refuses, but once the brigands poison her dog Krypto, she reluctantly agrees so that she can go find the cure. So her and Ruthie set off on this adventure. Also, Lobo is there sometimes, played by Jason Momoa, and we'll get into him later. The film is directed by Craig Gillespie, which is a really bizarre choice, considering he's never made an action film like this before. He's not somebody who I necessarily hate. I really enjoyed I, Tonya. Dumb Money was kind of whatever, and Cruella was really bad, but you can tell that he is a little bit in over his head. The action is lacking the whole movie, and it keeps trying to emulate James Gunn's previous work for obvious reasons, but it's really not able to capture the same magic that he was able to in Superman or any of the Guardians films. All that said, this is still a relatively fun sci-fi romp. It's disappointing as a follow-up to Superman, and other entries in the DCEU generally, and it has pretty severe narrative problems. First and foremost of these is Supergirl's backstory and how that's included in the film. This is obviously an important thing to establish, how Supergirl became Supergirl, right? Like, that makes sense. But instead of having it all be at the beginning, it being kind of a prologue, or throughout the film as it goes along, we have various flashbacks, it's just kind of dumped in the middle, and it really slowed the pacing down. The whole movie was just kind of boring. Because of it, it grinds to a halt just so we can have this 10-15 minute long backstory. And this sucks. I liked this part. I thought it would be fun seeing more of Krypton, and the production design of all of that was pretty fun. The city flying away, that was all pretty fun, and it could have been bolstered significantly if it was spread throughout the film or paced differently instead of just dumped in the middle. Something a lot of other people have been saying is that there's way too many needle drops in what was an obvious attempt at maintaining the Gunnism the universe has had thus far, and I'm not really tuned into the drama between who chose what song and where, specifically with the middle cover, as previously mentioned. A song I genuinely like, only kind of ironically, but it really was out of place in the film. It just takes some time. There's also just way too much going on. I brought up Lobo previously, but he is completely out of place and utterly unnecessary, and he just was lame and cringy. I don't know anything about his character. Maybe he's comic accurate, I don't care. He sucked. I thought he was terrible. He seemed really dated and like a bygone era of comics and pop culture generally, with some really painful one-liners and a bizarre aesthetic choice. And I kind of just didn't care about anything that happened in the film that wasn't directly related to Supergirl trying to save Krypto. This is a cheap emotional beat for the film to use, obviously using the cute dog, but, it worked on me. What can I say? Ruthie's character was not memorable in the slightest. I think if this film were a little bit darker, she could have been much more interesting, and they could have fleshed her out a little bit more. I think the film should have been darker in general. Millie Alcock Supergirl, they're kind of setting her up as like the opposite to Superman, as he is perpetually optimistic and she is really struggling to find that in the film. But it's not really willing to go darker places, and when it does, it's frequently undercut with comedy in a way that is a disservice to the film as a whole. It does do a good job of establishing the stakes. You know, it's unafraid to kill people, which I appreciated, but it's still trying to capture the same energy and tone of the Superman film, which just doesn't work. I guess I loved Superman in the movie. He's the best part of it, and it made me want to watch Superman again, because he's just that charismatic and charming in the role. But this really was disappointing. I've been a lot harsher on this than I thought I would be. I had an okay time. It, you know, for 100 minutes it felt a little long, but I did laugh a little bit. I actually really liked Seth Rogen's little Babu Frick ass bus driver character. I thought he was funny. He made me laugh. I don't know how people feel about him, but I thought he was fun. I do think people are being a little hard on it. Like, it's not the worst thing ever. And the fucking misogyny that's taken over any kind of discussion of this film is frustrating, and obviously something that happens all the time. It's just unbearable. I don't know, I'd recommend it if you liked Superman. I wouldn't say it's worth seeing in the theater necessarily. Definitely wait for it to be on streaming. And I'd give Supergirl a high 5 out of 10. It's definitely not worth the vitriol it seems to have gotten, but check it out, form your own opinion. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.